everybody, and welcome back. I'm Rachel.
I'm Hannah.
And this is the You Talking to Me podcast. And today is our final week of whatever this month is, birthday month. I don't know. The theme is all over the place, but it's our final week, and we are watching one of my favorite shows, Outer Banks, the pilot. And there might be a little bit that we talk about from the whole first season, just like here and there we might like sprinkle something in because we've both, spoiler, already seen the whole first season. But we're going to try and keep it to the pilot because this pilot, let me tell you, is jam-packed with stuff. Like I've got like 2 pages of notes, and that's like how much I have for a movie sometimes because that's like all that happens in some of the movies we watch. So Hannah, hit us with the recap.
All right. Outer Banks is a Netflix original show. In episode 1, we are introduced to the Pogues, or people in the lower class who live in Outer Banks. We follow John B. and his story along with his friends. His mother left when he was young, and his father went missing on a shipwreck 9 months ago. After a hurricane hits the town, the friends go out boating and come across a sunken boat. A dead body turns up on shore, which is the owner of the boat. Some things aren't adding up in the story with the man and the boat. John B. and his friends begin to find out what's on the boat, and that starts with John B. diving to the wreck and looking at what went down with the boat. Wow, I just realized how many times I said the word boat there. I'll just have a little tally mark.
Yeah, just
boat.
I'll put one up. You'll see how many times it is. Oh my gosh. Hannah, this is your first time watching Outer Banks. Did you even hear the show before I suggested it? It was on Netflix kind of for like the show for a while.
Yeah, no, I don't even think, I mean, I heard you talk about it, but it never came up as a recommendation for me. I swear I had never seen anything about it. But ironically, like 2 days before I was gonna watch it, on my YouTube channel, this thing came up that was like a day in the life with blah blah blah, and I was like, who's this? Like, why is she a recommended person? And it turns out that it's the girl who plays Sarah on Outer Banks. But I was like, weird timing. They know. Somehow they know. And also now thinking about this first episode, I'm gonna be straight up with all y'all. There was so much happening that I was like confused, and I was like, whose name's what and who's doing what and what's happening. What was a big question inside my head. But now, after watching the whole first season, reading this recap again, and like me, I wrote down the names of the characters, and I was like trying to remember. I was like, what are their names? And now it's so funny because I feel like familiar with all of them that I'm like, how did I not know is John B, Kiara, JJ, and Pope? Like, how did I not know?
Well, and the thing is like, I hate narration, but I feel like for this first episode, we needed it. Like, they literally would pause and be like, this is JJ, blah, 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 blah. Oh, this is Kiara, goes by Key, blah, 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 you know, and it would like go through them. And watching it again, I was like, oh, this is so stupid. But I'm like, no, you definitely need this because this is, the writing is phenomenal. And like the whole season goes like this too, where you think that they can't go any further, and then they go further. Like episode 4, they're already like almost getting caught by these people finding like random things that you're like, oh, this must be the end of the season. No, there's still like 4 more episodes. What else could happen? You know, it's amazing writing for this first season and this first episode, because we're told in our writing classes, don't hoard story. So like so they talk about the like merchant's prize or whatever it's called, the gold, right, of this boat. And let's say I was writing the show, I probably wouldn't even have him like finding anything out about his dad's compass until like episodes later, because that's just like, my brain is like, how can you possibly fit all of this into one episode and still have like 8 or 10 episodes of the show? How can you do that? But these people that created the show are geniuses, I swear. Like this first season, I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. Like, I need to watch the next episode right now. I don't care that I've been watching literally all the other episodes. I'm finishing it this day.
Yes. If you know by now, about me. You know that there's a lot of things that Rachel and I won't necessarily agree on with views for shows, just because she does usually like things that I would say a lot of times, right, are directed towards a younger audience, right? Like I typically like a more mature thing and you like more, I know we just like different things, which is great. I love that about us because we have very different views on things. So when I found out that this was like based on this group of high schoolers, which we know last week I had the show that I liked that was about high schoolers, but typically that is not going to be my main draw. I'm not like, yeah, let's watch high schoolers. I'm like, let's watch adults doing adult things. I don't know. And I was like, cool. It's about high schoolers. Yeah, I don't want to watch this. And then by the end of episode one, in my notes, I have written down very good, want to watch the rest of the series, which for me to say that immediately after an episode is a big deal. Okay, people, like it takes a lot for me to actually, even if it's a show that ends up being one of my favorite things I've ever watched, it's very unlikely that I'll immediately want to watch a second episode of anything. I'm just like, maybe I'll think about it in a week or so, but not typically right away. And right away, I was like, yep, I want to watch episode 2. What happens?
Let me guess what one of those reasons is that you wanted to watch the rest of the show. It's like the most beautiful show I've ever seen in my life. It's golden hour central here. Like, let me just say, like, I swear they didn't record outside of golden hour or the middle of the night. I swear. Those are the two times they recorded because it always had this like orange glow. Everyone just looked sun-kissed all the time. It was it okay. When they were in the marshes, that is exactly what Savannah looks like. Exactly what the water in Savannah looks like. I was so shocked. I was like, okay, they had to have recorded. I think they recorded around Charlotte or Charleston or something like that. I can't remember. But they recorded somewhere down here. I don't think they recorded in the Outer Banks, but nearby. And that's like a real place that you can go. And it literally, like on my way to Jack's, I have to go over a bridge, and that's what the water looks like, the marshes. The exact same thing.
Okay, it was filmed in Charleston, and I saw a thing the other day that was like telling me facts about it. When I was looking up stuff about the show, and yeah, so it's filmed in Charleston, South Carolina, but and that's where the I was gonna say director, and then I was gonna say author, and both of those are wrong. The writer for this show, he was in Charleston when he got the idea, but if I'm not mistaken, he grew up in Outer Banks. And then he was just like in that area, and then he wanted to film there, and they were going to film in North Carolina, I believe, but then there was something about um a law that was happening or trying to go through, like Netflix didn't want them to film there because of like an abortion law that was trying to be passed, or it was like some law, and they just didn't want to be like associated with that state, so they went to South Carolina. Fun fact, which that could be wrong. I found that on the internet, and internet is interesting. I did not personally speak to Netflix.
The internet is always correct. It knows everything. Honestly, it's so funny these days. This is just a side note about trusting the internet. How our parents, when we were kids, were like, don't trust everything you read on the internet. And then there'll be a post on Facebook that's like, the Pope died. And it's like, oh, gotta share this. And they don't even like read the article. And it's like, not true. It's like, mom and dad, what are you doing here? Take your own advice. Don't trust everything you read on the internet. What are you doing? So I think that's always really funny. And now Facebook will do this thing where if you're trying to share an article that you didn't click on, it'll be like, do you really want to share this? You didn't read it. Are you sure? Take another look at it. Right at the beginning, John B, we find out, does not live with any adults. He has no legal guardians, but he's like 35 himself, so it doesn't matter. No, I'm just kidding.
They look very old. Okay,
They
people,
look
they do.
at least our age. I think they are around our age. I think Sarah Cameron might be the youngest. Maybe I'm lying. This is just in my head. But he does not have any legal guardians. His friends stay over a lot. That's like the only people that end up at his house. But he supposedly lives with his uncle, but his uncle hasn't been there for months. Which, okay, why does this kid have the literal worst parents in the world? Like, worst family, I mean, in the world. Like, your uncle ditches you he hasn't been there for like 3 months or 6 months or something, they said. And I'm like, what? Why? That seems a little rude. At least, whatever. They do say though that as the Pogues, like no one pays attention to you, so I'm sure they just all thought they could get away with it. But like the child services is basically like, we're gonna have a meeting with you, and if your uncle isn't there, we're gonna take you to the mainland, and you have to go into foster care. Which I think he's supposed to be 17 in the show. And
And he's 28.
okay, well, I was close when I said 35. Apparently, I was closer to that than 17, which is embarrassing. But I think, like I said, is supposed to be like 17. And being told that you're going into foster care at 17, I feel like would just be a slap in the face. You know, like you haven't been in foster care this whole time. You have been able to take care of yourself for the most part. Like he lives in a trashed house. Like he's obviously not taking that good care of it and everything. I mean, he doesn't have any money though, you know. I have no idea how he's surviving, but just being told that, I feel like it would be, I don't know, just demoralizing to be told that. And I thought it was funny that a hurricane was good news to him. He was like, yes, a hurricane that could kill me. Like he was like, yes, that means CPS or Child Protective Services, whoever it is, can't come from the mainland. So he calls them and is like, yeah, I think we're gonna have to reschedule. And then the hurricane really did do like a crap ton of damage. Like that they saw the boat that was sunk. They saw it out on the sea during the hurricane, and it's like the guy was looking for something. I don't know.
Can we talk about how they found that though, and how was it JJ gets flung off the boat? Was it it was JJ
Yes.
that got flung off. I am not a person who's gonna like I'll laugh at things, okay? When I tell you I was laughing at this, I rewatched it like 8 times because I was like, I need to see him fly off this boat every time.
And then
It's so funny.
he says he like the back of his feet kicked the back of his head or whatever. Dude, I wonder how they had to film that. Like, do you think it was a stunt double or do you think it was really him?
I don't know because maybe with the way you film and like certain angles, whatever, you could make it look like okay, you just kind of have to jump right now and like make it look like it's happening, which I feel like you could, but and if it's just clear water, I don't see why you couldn't. But at the same
It looked
time,
like he was flung off that boat. Like, it looked like, I wonder if, I'm sure he was expecting, like, I don't think they made it a surprise, but I bet they just had to like cut, like the boat like went into a thing, you know, like I'm sure they had something under the water that like caught the boat. Obviously, like in the show it was the other boat, but in the show, in like filming it, I'm sure there was like a contraption that they had to like move into that would stop it immediately. He literally like launched. It was the best thing ever. This show, I love how serious it is. Like it gives me what Riverdale wished it was. Don't you feel like have you heard or seen anything about Riverdale?
yeah, I've watched at least the first season.
Yeah, this show is like what Riverdale wishes it could have accomplished, because there's like death, there's potential, like all these bad potential things that like can happen the whole time. Like while they're trying to find John B's dad and like trying to like find the gold, like they're being chased down. And I'm not gonna tell you who the villain is. I do not want to get that spoiler out, but I was just like, what? Oh my gosh, like it's so nuts. It's so good. I love all the characters are so good, except at the beginning and at least like kind of still, like Kiara and Pope, I feel like are such archetypes. They'd feel like Kiara's like, I only care about the earth and that's all I talk about is the environment. Oh, don't have plastic. Oh, don't do this. Like I watched an episode in the second season and she was like, people whose plastic should all die. And like, sure, I agree with that, but like you are being really, like you live with really poor people. Like she's actually a rich kid who like hangs out with the lower class kids. And I feel like you've got to understand that like being able to reduce your like carbon footprint a lot of the time, like it's going to have to start with the people who have money, because once those companies and people who have money can start finding ways to make it affordable to not use plastics and non-reusable resources, then it'll be affordable for the people who can't afford to make the choice between like something in a cardboard box and something in a styrofoam box. Like if you look at eggs, the eggs that come in the cardboard box are like $4, and the ones that come in the styrofoam are literally like 79 cents. I'm sorry, but if
Okay,
you're
not at my
poor,
store.
they are in Savannah. There's like only the really, really nice eggs are in cardboard here.
I think all the eggs here, unless I'm mistaken, there might be some in styrofoam, but like
At Walmart,
Target brand eggs, for example, are cardboard and it's
oh,
like 60 cents for eggs.
not here. At my Target, we only have Good and Gather brand, which is Target's brand, and they're in styrofoam, and they're still like $1.50 or something. And
That's
so,
interesting.
what I'm saying is like, she needs to start realizing who her audience is at this point, because also they live on an island, which you only get certain resources like brought in. It's not like you can like make the choice to go to Whole Foods or Walmart. I feel like at this point, like it's a very small island.
The only thing I'll say is that she, at least she cares about it, but
But they
um
make her so like
she
obsessive
just
about
like right, yeah. And I think though, yeah, it'd be like the way she approaches it. And maybe it's like if
it.
she
Yeah.
wants her friends to start using less plastic, like help them, or she should be like having fundraisers with the rich people, whatever. But they obviously
Or
can't get
like
into that story.
giving them reusable bags, or those like produce bags that aren't the plastic to put your vegetables in when you go to the store, etc. Things like that. But it's like the writers were just like, okay, now we need to give this girl a personality trait. Okay, she's really environmental and like, green, things like that. That's all she's gonna ever talk about. I was like, come on. And then Pope is academic. That's all he cares about. Like his reasoning for like a bunch of stuff in this first episode was like, I'm gonna lose my merit scholarship. I'm gonna lose my merit scholarship. I was like, yeah, maybe, but like, don't you also care about like your friends like dying? Like, it's just, I think they just were so hell bent on, they like couldn't come up with other personality traits in this first episode. I don't know. That was like one of my only critiques for the first episode right now.
But the one thing I can't remember, I think she was introduced in the first episode, is Sarah, who becomes a bigger story in the first episode, or maybe first two. She's not really in the story, but her personality trait that they introduce her with is like she just really wants to save the turtles. That's all she cares about. And she's like jumping, like shooing away birds because she doesn't want them to eat the baby turtles
Oh,
or
they're
whatever.
eating
And
the mice
is it the mice? That's what
in
it
the
is. It's
first
not baby
episode.
turtles.
In the first
Okay,
episode,
it's mice. And so she just like, that's all she cares about. And then so you could have thought that that would be like her whole personality trait, which it definitely isn't. And I definitely think that Key and Pope have a little bit wider of personality traits in the next episodes, but I would agree that they really focus on, like the whole plastic and school thing. But the episode you were talking about in season 2, when Kiara says something about like, oh, I hate people that use plastic, and then JJ comes back with, I use plastic every day, I love it.
I love the characters and how they interact with each other though. Like they are real friends. You can tell. Also, I hate that Kiara is like obsessed with John B in the first like couple episodes. I'm like, get over him. Ew, stop it. Like you literally have a rule like you can't date each other. So stop it. Like you're being annoying. I just feel like they did not make Kiara very likable in this first season, but near the end I do like her more. But Sarah Cameron, so here's the first episode, what we get of her is that the first time we see her, she's literally like the hot girl, bikini, shorts. It's right after a hurricane. She's like batting away birds from these mice, which I think is hilarious. But it's like, of course, she's got to be seen in this kind of sexy outfit right away, right? Like, it's just kind of, I rolled my eyes the first time I saw this. I was like, whatever. But then she's like the most genuine person, right? You expect her to be like, I'm like some bitchy rich kid or whatever, but she's like genuinely nice because what is it, Skipper's wife? Is that his name? The guy who died in the first episode. I think his name's
I
Skipper.
think Skipper's right.
And his wife, I think they kind of work for Sarah Cameron and her dad and like their family. And Skipper's gone missing, and she is literally like, "Oh my gosh, like I'm so sorry. Like I would have come earlier if I would have realized that's what we were talking about." Like she's really genuine, which I like that trait that they give her, because it's so easy for people to write, you know, the rich popular chick as like some mean, like I don't care about anyone but myself and money, you know. But she doesn't, and I like that. And she's dating like the worst person ever. Like he and
His
JJ get
name's Topper. Topper.
he and JJ get into like this huge fight on the beach because they have this big party where it's like the only time that the rich kids, which are called the kooks and the pogues, and then like tourists, basically the kids that are there on vacation, they all intermingle, like they're all regular and like friends with each other or whatever. That's the only time they ever do that. Which, Hannah, have you ever been to a kegger?
Um, I can't remember. Well, like by the definition, a kegger means that there's a keg there, correct? I mean, obviously,
That's what I
I've
assume.
I've been to parties. I'm trying to think. I feel like at some of the parties I was at, there was definitely kegs, but a lot of the parties I went to were just like bottles on bottles on bottles on bottles on bottles.
Cause I look, they had like one keg for like a ton of people. I felt
Yeah,
like,
that was not enough.
okay,
Not
I was
enough.
gonna say I do not go to parties. I've recently like started drinking like at my place with like my friends or whatever, but I've not really been to like a drinking party. And I was just like, that can't be enough. And maybe they each get like half a glass, but like, isn't the fun of like parties that like half the people are gonna get wasted and do stupid crap? Like, I feel like that's like the point of parties is people getting drunk. So, and then like doing weird things and playing games and drinking games and stuff like that. But there was like one keg and like 100 kids on that beach. But this was the craziest part. So, no, actually, there's a ton of crazy parts. Why am I saying this is the craziest part? Before the beach party, they dive down onto the boat and grab this bag, right? They find the boat and they get a bag off of it, and there's like a key or they didn't get a bag. They found a key on it. It was a hotel key, and it said like the room number and everything. So the four of them go to the hotel. Kiara and Pope stay in the boat, and JJ and John B go into the hotel, and they find a safe, and in the safe there's like money, there's pictures, and there's a gun. Okay, let me just say, if the gun is introduced in a movie or a show, you know it's going off. That's all I gotta say. I was like, shoot, when is this gonna go off? I was so nervous the whole time. Then and Kiara noticed the cops are there, and they're going to that room, and they're like, crap, how do we tell them? And I love how serious the show is, but it's still funny. Okay, so Pope goes to throw a rock at the window, and it doesn't even get close, and she's like, bro, seriously, like you can't hit it. Weren't you ever in baseball? He's like, I was a mathlete. And she's like, I'm gonna hit you. And so she has to like hit the rocks on the window, and finally the guys look out, and they're like, the cops are coming, the cops are coming. We don't know how, because it just goes to the cops entering the room, and we're like, crap, where are they? Where are they hiding? This is a small hotel room, like where are they? And they like check the bathroom, and they're not in there, and I'm like, where did they go? And they are standing on the outside ledge outside the window, like just out of view, and everything is going fine until JJ drops the gun and makes this huge noise, and the guy like goes to the window and is like starts looking, and Pope and Kiara have to be like, oh, we're just chilling on this boat, don't look at us, we aren't here for any reason. And they don't see them, thank God. But I was like, you idiot, because they kept pushing it. Like it would have been so easy for them to just be on the ledge, right? But then they like had to make a noise and have them like go look for them. Like they kept pushing. Like the cops could have showed up at a different time, but they showed up while they were there, because these writers knew what they were doing. They were planting it and giving you the suspense you needed. And then so they leave, and then they're like trying to convince them we're gonna go back to the boat and try and like get stuff off of it or whatever, before like anyone notices the boat's there. And this is before the dead body was found, I think. And I don't even, why did they throw the kegger? They said it was for like a specific reason. Were they trying to like find out information or something?
I don't remember. But how did they get the keg? Or they found the keg like because of the hurricane or something.
Oh yeah, maybe they found it and then just threw the party because they had it.
Oh, but they did say that they were throwing it to either try to find out information or to like distract from what they wanted to do or something like that. I don't
Yeah,
know.
and then
That
they
was
did.
confusing to me.
Oh yeah, they were trying to stay under the radar or something. But then at the freaking party, Topper and JJ kind of get in a scuffle, and then John B like jumps in, and I loved the added aspect of it being like kind of in the ocean because there's like them being thrown into the water and stuff, and then Topper's actually like choking John B and like kind of drowning him and saying stuff like, "You're gonna drown just like your dad." I'm like, what the frick is wrong with you? Like, why do you have to say things like that? Like, you jerk. And he's literally about to die. John B is. When all of a sudden JJ comes up behind him and points the guns on his back, he's like, you know what this is. Now let him up right now. Like, he's being like literally crazy, and everyone, he's got a gun! Freaking out. Oh my God. Could you imagine if you were one of those tourists and you went to the party and someone had a gun? I'd be like, Mom, you're right. I should never go to parties again. Sorry, Mom. And then Kiara is like so pissed because he's supposed to be like staying under the radar, and he has this gun out, and finally Topper lets him go, and then he like shoots the gun in the air like twice. I'm like, what is wrong with you? And they're so mad at him. But I knew the gun was gonna go off, and it was just ridiculous. But he was like pointing it at people at the house before they went to the party, and I was like, do you not understand gun safety at all? He's actually kind of crazy in this show, but I love JJ. He's just trying his best. But I was shocked. And the
He
first,
has a very rough life.
he does.
JJ is honestly my favorite character.
I love JJ.
JJ and Pope are my two favorites, I think.
Yeah, so for a while I really wanted to ship Kiara and John B because I didn't want Sarah Cameron to like come in and like take over. This is just a little bit spoiler. She does like join the group or whatever. But then I was like, I can't help it. I have to ship Sarah Cameron and John B. When they did the whole like Vlad and Val thing, I was
Val.
like, that's so effing cute. I can't help it. They're supposed to be together. I love them so much.
There's just
But
a lot that happens in this first episode, though. And then you find, so then they are on this boat after they went. Well, so John B goes on to the boat of actually Sarah's dad and gets scuba diving gear. And he dives down to the boat to see what's on there. And when he's down under the water, which the tank only has so much oxygen in it, and then the cops show up trying to see if they found something from the boat or like what was going on. And they start asking like, where's your other friend? Like they know John B's always with them. John B's underwater. And then just like just as he leaves, John B comes up. So like they just missed each other. And if he came up at the wrong time, like, they would have been like, hey, what did you find underwater? Like, why were you diving right now? And so that part was well played. And when they were looking for the boat, I feel like this happened right before that, or like a different time when they were at the boat. Maybe it was at this moment, but they're driving away, and these guys in a boat come up and they literally start shooting at them.
yeah, this was right after the cop left because these guys had so the marsh is closed because they have the search party looking for Skipper's boat, and people think that it's going to have illegal contraband or something, or like smuggling something on it, because he's like really poor, this Skipper guy is, and now he has this, it's called a Grady White, and it's apparently like a $500,000 boat or something, and they're like, how the heck did you get that, question mark. And so these creepy guys get permission to like look for the boat or something too, with the cops and the other search party. And the cop finds them, and they're like, the marsh is closed, and like he's there and he's looking all over the boat looking for John B. John B can see him up there, like we just said. And then, but right after the cop leaves and right after John B gets on the boat, yeah, these other guys show up and they're like, oh, there's another boat, what the heck, like, and then they start like chasing them and like shooting at them and all this stuff, and they're like trying to get away, and Kiara has this genius plan to get one of the fishing nets and like wave it out and put it in front of them so that their motor will like get tied up in it, which I thought was genius. And they lose him that way. But holy crap, that was the seconds of him underwater knowing that he's running out of oxygen and the cop still being up there, and then these guys chasing after him, which I would have to rewatch the show. I still don't know who those guys are. Like, I'm still like confused about like these bad guys and why they're like chasing after them, but that's okay.
Yeah, we don't really know who they are. I think that they work with the main villain in some sort of aspect.
I think so too.
And maybe they'll tell you more in season 2. Rachel just made me yawn. Thank you
Sorry.
for that. And then they find this canister, and inside the canister, there's a. Is it a watch? Is it? No,
The
it's a
compass.
compass.
So they
A
found it
compass.
in a bag. John B had actually grabbed something from the boat and it was just in there.
And that's how episode 1 ends. Is that they find this thing, and it says
We
Rutledge.
don't know what it says technically, but he knows it's his dad's.
I swear that he says what it says.
No, he says so I watched it yesterday and Pope was like really ticked off that they like almost died diving in this boat just to find this stupid canister that had a dumb compass in it. And they might have shown it or something, but he's just looking at it and John B's like, guys, this is my dad's compass. Like, I'm sure he saw the word on it or something. Um, but yeah, it ends just like that. And while that's like not even the most interesting part of the show, like I still really wanted to watch what happened next because it just feels like nothing else can happen. They literally almost died like 12 times. Um they already found all this stuff and all this information, and it's like episode 1. And yeah, we don't get a whole lot of Sarah Cameron here, but she like plays a bit in like helping them later because she like wants to just join in. I don't know if she's sick of her life or what's happening. I don't remember how she gets involved right away, but she like joins them, and it's a fun little group of 5. And yeah, I love JJ, and I think I really love Sarah Cameron as well. Those are, I think, are my favorite. Do you have all the ages of everyone in the show?
Yeah, so John B is 28. Well, I mean, in real life, so not in the show,
Yeah.
obviously. And then the girl who plays Kiara is 22, who's Madison Bailey. If we care about Rafe, who's not one of the main characters, he's 27, but so I was surprised he was younger than John B.
Well, because he looks older to me.
Yeah. Jonathan Davis, who plays Pope, is 21. And then Rudy Pankow and Madeline Klein, so who plays JJ and Sarah Cameron, are both 23. But
It's
why is John B so old?
I see like 85. Like, what the heck? There's no other guy out there. Oh, and here's my hypothesis. So, Outer Banks is huge, right? And John B is a very distinct. So here's one thing: is I do like that he's a very distinct looking person, because finding like hot white guys right now is like they all look the same. So I do like that he's pretty distinct looking, at least. And I'm currently watching because it's still on the current episode or the current season of Big Brother, which is a reality TV show. And one of the people who was cast in the show is named Travis Long, I think, and he looks like John B, like the classic, like a regular version of John B, even though like the actor is like a regular person. But here, I'm gonna pull him up.
Yeah, I want to see. Okay,
They tried to
holy.
cast him. They were like, let's try and get John B on the show.
I feel like no one in this show though is like particularly too attractive either. Like, I mean, they're all attractive people. They're definitely better than like average looking, I would say. But no one's like, oh my God, like they're so hot.
Yeah, I think Sarah Cameron comes across as like really pretty. I don't know.
Well,
She
yeah,
comes
she's
across as like
pretty.
really pretty. I don't know. I feel like she's like the next not heartthrob, but like the girl that every guy is in love with, like in our age group.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I can see that, but I don't know. I guess maybe it's just because they're all more attractive that then no one like super
Stand
stands
out.
out. Like I think they're all attractive people. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's just like no one seemed like they were way above anyone else.
No, I get that for sure. And I think that's like maybe a good thing because then it like comes across more obvious that like they're way older than high school and stuff like that. I mean, I guess it's really only John B and Rafe, but Rafe is supposed to be out of high school, I think. Um, but John B is like the only one that's way older. But I think it helps with the illusion if they're all just like obnoxious. But Pope, I will say, in the second season, looks a lot older than he does in the first season. He just like grew up or something. I don't know if he got more muscle mass or just like something happened, but he just looks older than he did in the first season for sure.
Well, if you think about filming times and whatever, when they started filming the first season, I believe is 2019. So if
Mm-hmm.
he's 21 right now, like he could have been 19 or even 18 when they were filming the first season, and now he's 21. You know, there's a big difference in guys between the age of 18, 19 to 21. So that makes sense.
For sure. And I feel like that happened with have you seen the Jumanji movies?
I have not.
So the guy that turns into Kevin Hart, so like basically they go into a video game and these actors play the like teenagers or whatever. Everyone looks so they go from high school to college, like they're it's supposed to just be 1 year, but of course it's been a couple years because of just filming for this movie and everything. But from the time that they made the first movie to the time that they made the second movie, the guy, and I don't remember his name, I think it's Tank or something like that. He's a football player. From the time that he looks so much older. He's the only one that looks significantly older than everybody. And I wonder if he's like actually like an athlete or something. Because if he was like younger and then like because people who go from high school to college athletes or even to professional athletes, they change a ton just body wise because of what they can handle now and like the type of regimen that they go through at the different levels of athletics. So I wonder if he's like actually an athlete too, or like was training for another movie or something that made him like build up muscle in a different way because he looks like significantly older than everybody all of a sudden.
Well. I feel like we covered a lot of different areas for the show, and like we definitely didn't even dive into everything probably because there's a lot that happens in these episodes. Like it's a lot, but it's good, and I would recommend watching this series. That is my take on it. Do you have any other things you want to say, Rachel?
No, but if you're on TikTok, you've probably heard lots of sounds that come from this show because it's there's one that's like Sarah Cameron like yelling at toppers like, "No, you don't love me. You love the idea of me." And it was a really funny TikTok trend. And there's another one, and I don't want to give the spoiler because I actually haven't even gotten to this part in season 2, but there's a really popular sound right now with like Kiara and her dad, I think, that is on TikTok at the moment. So the show, it's got some good TikTok moments, I guess. And oh, wait, I love the parents in this show. I think they all actually act like parents for the most part, except for the rich parents. I mean, Kiara's dad is like pretty good because he like owns a business that is like service based because I think he owns a restaurant, which we don't see that in the first episode, but as much. But he and Hayward, which is Pope's dad, are like legit parents. And I really like that because Pope is like trying to get out of doing something right after the hurricane. And Hayward's like, "Where are you going? No, you gotta help clean up. I don't even like your friends. Get back here." Like yelling at him and stuff. And he's like, "If you get in that boat." I was like, "Oh, shoot, he's going to get in trouble." So I like that they aren't just like, "Sure, kids, do whatever you want. This isn't dangerous at all." You know, like they actually care for the most part.
Very true. I love that. But then they also don't seem like they're like my parents would have like called the cops on me or something if I was doing what they were doing. uh, but very good, very good. Social medias. Come watch us on YouTube, everybody. It's You Talking to Me podcast. subscribe to our channel and hit the little notification bell so you are notified every single time we post a video. We have Instagram and Twitter, and Rachel will tell you those. There's also an email. So
All
yeah.
right. Yeah, our email, you talking to me podcast at gmail.com. Please email us. We get lonely. We need people to talk to. We just talk to each other and that's it. We don't have any other friends. No. And then we have an Instagram. If you caught our live, you got to see us talking about the bold type, which was awesome. That was yesterday. That comes out every month. We have a different Instagram live. And because we don't film ahead on Instagram lives, like we'll take your suggestions. If you've got something that you want us to watch, please let us know. And so that is you talking to me podcast. You can also follow us on Twitter, which is at you talking to me 11, because we're both number one. And that's it, I think. Oh my gosh. So we're getting good at this, just zooming right on through. All right. So with that, I'm Rachel.
I'm Hannah.
And this was the You Talking to Me podcast. Bye.
Bye.